Hey everyone, before the video starts, I wanted to mention real quick, one, again, I have a Discord link in the description, and two, this is my first VOD review that I'm doing live. This wasn't recorded through a live stream. I just recorded this in my own personal time, and it wasn't scripted or anything. I just watched the video of the VOD for the first time, kind of went through it, talked about it. Please be patient with me as I learn to, make these videos a little better. I know this is going to be a 30-minute video with a lot of not too much talking going on or not a lot going on. Just bear with me, as I learn to do this and get better at it. If there's anything you'd like to see done more or done better, or any advice or any feedback, please let me know in the comments. I'm open to everything pretty much. I enjoy reading the guys' comments. I appreciate all the support. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hello, everyone. This video is going to be a review of a game, bronze game on Outback. This is the first VOD review I'm doing on this channel. If you're interested in getting your game reviewed, coached, or whatever, please visit the Discord I've created. It's going to be a link in the description of this video. There's a whole channel on there dedicated to just reviewing games. I also want everyone to remember that this is a learning environment, so please don't attack any players or flame anybody for anything, whether they play a certain way or maybe because you think they aren't very good. Everyone has room to improve, and this player has put themselves out there to receive that constructive criticism in order to get better at the game. With that being said, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you learned something new. Okay, so as we're loading into the round here, droning, looking for site, first and foremost, probably going to be party, or laundry, sorry, laundry and piano, yep. Looking at the operator lineup, Dokubi, Zof with poppers, Iana, Buck, and of course you're playing Thermites. I'm going to assume you're solo queuing here, just based on the information told me. The player's name, by the way, is Archer, so Archer is the player. Based on the information you said, I believe you're solo queuing here. Playing Thermite, obviously your main goal is going to be trying to get this wall open. That's kind of your round, you know what I mean? You just want to get the wall open and get through there. They have a Cade though, so you're going to have a bit of struggle with that. It looks like we're loading it around, yeah, without switching any operators. Okay, so you're kind of, your best bet's either going to be to destroy the Electropla somehow, or have your Dokubi help you with the EMPs. Okay, real quick, I want to pause it and just rewind a couple seconds. Right here, you're shooting the barricades a little bit, and I don't dislike this idea. I like this. I think this is a great thing to do. But to note, there's this thing in this game called phantom pressure, and it's basically a way of creating pressure around the map without actually being there. And the most common way to do that is usually just opening barricades. So you're shooting the barricades, and I'm assuming it's in an effort to, make the attack or make the defenders not exactly know where you're coming from, but you're not breaking them open all the way and allowing yourself to come through those doorways, right? So say you broke the barricade at the bottom of these stairs on the left, it's open and you're able to go through that without ever opening the barricade again. You can always sneak in. Or if you open this window all the way, it just creates more line of sight. And instead of a small little hole in the window, you know what I mean, that you're going to have to break open later anyways, you have it open for the rest of the round. It's a small thing. It's just called phantom pressure, but it's something that you could probably work on if you're going to, be trying to shoot these windows. Just open the whole thing, get the whole thing open so the defenders never know exactly where you're at. Okay, so obviously you want to open the wall here. Your Dokubi is across the map, so I don't imagine the EMPs are going to be being used here. Yeah, again, there you shot the window, but didn't open it all the way. I'd say it's pretty good, again, to get in the habit of trying to open those windows all the way. A little bit of a run out over there. That's Outback for you. Just kind of how the map plays. Okay, so rotating over. I'm assuming you're just giving up on the wall here. It makes sense. It's going to be a little hard to open that. Plus, your entire team, well, what's left if your team is over here on this side. So it's probably smarter to just push with them. Okay.
Swapping mags!
Okay. Yeah, not really much going on. You guys are kind of just playing team deathmatch here.
Second floor.
Yeah, you know, Cade is in sight. Okay, you're in a 1v1.
All friendlies
Okay.
have been eliminated.
Yeah, good try. I mean, you're not gonna win every 1v1 you're in. I'm trying not to draw, not much to draw on the screen here. So I think you didn't play it terribly. I think you had the right idea with rotating over, um, to the terrace side of the map, the bowl games side of the map after you realize you couldn't get the wall open. I'm not 100% sure. You might have been able to shoot that electric claw from the window, although don't quote me on that. I'd have to go in the game and check. Um, but I think you did the right thing with rotating over. I think that was smart. The rest of your team was over there. It's kind of hard to be the only one to push through dorms, especially if you got to jump through a window or something. It's going to be pretty difficult. I think you made the right play by rotating over. I think where you kind of started to veer off course a little bit, where I think it kind of got a little difficult, is this 2v1 right here, right? So um, your Dokubi, I'm honestly not even quite sure where or how they died. They're not even in frame the entire time. Um, but I think just walking into here without your gun, I'm not sure exactly what you're doing right here, staring at the foosball table, but I think in here, you know what I mean? You probably should have just had your gun up. I think you would have had a much better chance if you just had your primary out. That shotgun is not very strong. It's usually used for more like making rotates or like opening a hatch. I'd say, honestly, you did most things fairly smart with the good intention. I would say just try to keep your primary gun out. Um, but the rotation was good. I think that was smart. Okay, so loading into round two, similar team composition, Dokby, Finka, Yana, Buck, and then you back on the Thermite. Besides party and office, playing Thermite here, I think your number one goal, again, should just be getting that main wall open. Another thing, again, to note is shoot these barricades open. You know what I mean? Just shoot them open. It creates pressure. I mean, the defenders are probably going to hear it, might even look at it, but, if you need to run through that door later in the round, it'll allow you to just go through without having to break the barricade. Open the wall here pretty quick. That's smart. Of course, playing Thermite, that's kind of like your job. So, drilling site, nothing unusual here. I think this is pretty standard, cap cam playing in sight. Okay. Turning again. Checking down there. There's no rotating the corner. Seems like your team's in garage, so it's a little free. Okay. So I'm gonna pause right here really quick. I think obviously, like, first thing you could say is like they have a cap can, so you need to be obviously mindful that there's traps. Same with Ella, you know what I mean? You could jump in that window and there could be a trap. It's always good if whatever doorway you plan on walking through, just turn your drone around, for a quick second. Is there a cap can trap? Is there Ella mine? You saw there was barbed wire under the window, so you knew that existed. On top of that, you're playing Thermite. You know what I mean? Let's back this up a little bit so I can point something out to you. Right here, this is a great shot. So, or maybe I could, no, this is a perfect shot. So, right here, you have two teammates in garage, right? And then you have a third teammate that's over on the bull side of the map. You opened this main wall, about 30 seconds ago or 40 seconds ago, and you haven't done anything with that, right? You obviously drove a drone through there. You saw there was a cap can, but beyond that, you haven't done anything with it, right? So when you're attacking, not all the time. Again, like the previous round, this wasn't the case. But when you have plenty of teammates like this, you want to split pressure sometimes. You know what I mean? In again, last round that wasn't the case because you guys were on the opposite sides of the map. But here you're much closer, right? I think as Thermite right here, you should just let your Buck and your Iana play this garage side. It doesn't really make sense if there's three players in top garage. Um, Trying to just walk through one doorway. You know what I mean? You go to the breach side, pressure from the breach. Don't let them play in that hallway. As soon as they figure out, there's no one outside that breach, they're gonna stand in the hallway. And then what's the point of opening that breach? You know what I mean? Um, so I say here, just be mindful, about where your teammates are, and try to play, you know, split pressure with them, if that makes sense. You don't want to be like just walking through the same area. You know what I mean? I'd say here, I mean, you have a secondary shotgun. You can thermite it if you want, but secondary shotgun's never a bad idea. Okay, you're on site. You don't see too much going on. Yeah, gotta punch that. Okay, we can pause right here. So, or I guess I can let this play out a little bit while we're watching. But so my first question is: so you opened the wall, right? You opened that electrical wall from garage, but you didn't do anything there. And what that kind of seems like to me is you have no plan, right? So let's back up the round again a little bit to about just about here when you're trying to open that wall, right? So again, let me pause it at a good time. Your two teammates right now are currently all the way in the bull side of the map, right? And your other two teammates are right behind you in garage. So you guys do have split pressure on the map. You have, the three of you in garage, three in garage, and then two in bull, right? That is split pressure on the site, right? If this S is site, split pressure. Um, the problem though is that you're going to walk through the same doorway as your team, right? Again, imagine if you were in that electrical room right now. You wouldn't even have to open this wall. I mean, you could. You don't have to, though. You can play in that hallway, maybe stand there and pressure anybody in party if they're playing in there. But otherwise, it's just the three of you guys staring into these holes, hoping to get a kill. You know what I mean? You want to have a plan for what you're doing. You open that outside wall, and that's great. But you didn't do anything with it. You want to open that wall. And even if you just stand there, like existing there sometimes it's great. It scares the defense. They don't know what to do. But now you've given the defense free reign in sight as well as a bunch of angles to shoot from. That's kind of unlucky. You were staring at the stairs, so I'm not going to, blame you too much for that one. But the idea for the round, I think what I'm seeing is that you don't have a plan for what you want to do. If you're going to open that outside wall, open it and play that outside wall. Otherwise, honestly, what's the point in playing thermite? You know what I mean? Might as well play, like Ash or any fragging operator you want to play. Like, look at this Capcan right here, just sprinted right out through the wall you made to kill your buck. You know what I mean? Again, if you're going to play the operator like thermite and you want to open the wall, play the wall, and use that to your advantage. Otherwise, rounds like that are going to happen. Split the pressure and play like that. Okay, moving into round 3. Operator lineup, pretty different this time. We got a Dokkaebi, Shield Op on Monty, Yana Buck, same as always, and then you're on Nook this time. Op the hard breach, understandable. I know you've not had too much support on your hard breaches, and you guys honestly don't even seem like you need it that much. This side, I think you do need a hard breach, but you haven't got it yet. Or you haven't got one, so it's not the end of the world. You guys can definitely make something work. Playing Nook here, looks like you have your plan for what you want to do. You're going to lurk through the kitchen hall here. You already droned a little bit, it's clear. Okay, well now you've given up your location. So, two things right here I want to point out super quick. This is perfect. One, just look at the angle you're playing right now. I noticed this right away. So say someone comes down this reptile hall, they walk down, and whether they know you're here or not, your whole body's in the hallway, right? Like your whole body is exposed. If they swing you from reception, this room right here, they swing you from insight or coming down the hallway, they're gonna see your entire body, right? You might have, heads up because if they don't know you're there, you'll get the first shots off and you'll probably win the fight. But say someone does know you're there, it's a lot easier to pre-fire you, and your whole body's in the hallway. What I recommend, especially when you're trying to hold angles, is try to hold a tighter angle. You know what I mean? Walk and use this door frame on the left here and stand on the left side of it and lean right and use this door frame and this wall right here to kind of hold a smaller, tighter angle, right? If you're going to stand here and hold an angle, do it like that. That goes for a lot of angles on a lot of maps. I haven't noticed too much of that yet, but when holding, angles like this down a hallway, if you can utilize, two walls or things like this that you can lean past, try to, make the angle tight. You want it to be sort of like you're looking, I don't know how those came back up, but I just guess it's coming back up, but you want it to be so that, whatever you're looking at is kind of like small in the center. Second thing, and I'll let it play as it happens, is I don't think the defense knows you're here. You're in here 40 seconds into the round, pretty close to sight, and you kind of give up your position doing this right here, right? Obviously, there's punch holes in the wall. Someone put them there, and maybe they're still sitting there, and you can get a free kill. But now the defense knows that there's someone lurking down this hallway, and your position is kind of, not great anymore. I mean, again, I don't know where the defenders exactly are, but maybe you could have just walked up to the doorway and got a kill. They might not know you're here yet. Which is the beauty of lurking. You get in there quick, they don't know you're there, you backstab them.
You have dropped the
Okay, so yeah, right there. So I mean, let's play out a little bit, but you're going for a lurk play, right? Like that's your goal, is you're trying to lurk, you're trying to go by yourself. Obviously you're playing Nook, and you had it going, right? You were doing a good job. I think you just kind of made some mistakes with not going quick enough. You know what I mean? Lurking is good, especially if there's someone roaming. I don't know if you knew there was a vigil there, but you should have honestly just went down that hallway, and I think your vigil's glitching up. Oh my gosh! Right now the vigil, the Dokubi, that's crazy.
Nice, well done.
Wow, good job to them. The defense really threw that there. But yeah, you should have just went down the hallway and go up to the door in sight. You know what I mean? You don't need to shoot the punch holes or frag it and open it. The vigil roaming is going to hear that. Someone insight's going to call it, and then they're going to come flank you. If you're going to lurk and you're going to rush, you got to do it quick. You're really, really relying and banking on the defense just not being prepared. Walk up to the door in sight and shoot someone. You probably could have got a kill, you know what I mean? Or walk into sight or keep walking down the reptile hall. That's the stuff you want to do when you're doing those lurk plays. Sitting there and shooting the punch holes, trying to frag it and, lay into sight, like, you're just going to take too long. And on lurk plays, it's not going to work like that. It's going to be tough when there's roamers like that.
secure the area. Keep the bombs protected.
Okay, moving into round 4. You're playing Mira. Surprised this op isn't banned. They're banned pretty often, but good on you for snagging her up. So I know you mentioned in your notes that you picked Mira because she was on the board, not necessarily because you knew any setups. And that's okay. I mean, Mira's a strong operator, even if she doesn't have the greatest setups. But I mean, just watching right now, I think it's fairly apparent that, yeah, you're right. You might not know any setups.
Seconds.
That one that you put facing the bathroom window isn't terrible. It's not an off for Mira.
5 seconds.
Loading full magazine.
But I do know there's some better ones, like this rotate right here looking into
Located a bomb. Be ready for
piano,
hostile
and then
action.
one on this wall. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, Mira's, even though the first mirror I don't think was amazing, the second one's all right. This one's good. This is a great mirror, opening those walls to the left and opening all this up. Yeah, perfect.
Reloading.
Opening that up gives you a lot of line of sight. You can pretty much shut down that entire half of the map, assuming nobody, pushes you from bathroom. It's pretty strong. This is also a nitpicky little note thing, but when Amaru up to hatch dead right away. But if you're going to play mirror, sometimes it's good to also just put your mirrors down later in the round so the defense or the attack doesn't know exactly where you're pushing from, or not pushing from, but placing them. Otherwise, I think you're doing just fine. Okay.
Loading full
Oh.
magazine.
All right. Well, Mab is on the roof, and then Buck was in Mez. We know that. Seems like a pretty one round, assuming everybody can just sit in sight and not run around like crazy people. Interesting barricade. And these games in bronze are definitely going to be pretty random. There's a drone right in front of you on the couch. There you go. Yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy happened in this defense round. I think I think your team got the Cav interrogation.
Op 4, last stop
Yeah, it's
standing.
5v1. There's really not too much going over this round. I think, regardless, even if you don't think you knew a setup, I think your mirror setup was just fine. I think people have to respect mirror, even if it's in like the hallway or the games wall. I think it's strong. We're just gonna fast forward to the next round. I don't really think there's too much going on here that there's to
Op
note.
4 eliminated. Mission success. Secure the bombs.
Okay, round 6. Didn't ban Mira again. The fact that Mira can make it through 2 ban phases is pretty astonishing, but you know what? Hopefully we can abuse her. Let's see what you got. Your team setup, Cade, Rooney, Fenrir, Denari. Not a terrible setup. I think that's actually, it's pretty good actually, all things considered. It's a pretty good setup. Looks like you're going to put one of your mirrors, and we already put it down, on the party wall facing in a bowl. Again, I know obviously you can't hear me, but I think putting your mirrors down later in the round is pretty strong, just so the offense, the attackers, if they're droning first, they, they'll know, oh, hey, there's a mirror facing bowl. Let's plan our attack for that. You know what I mean? They'll know that in the drone phase. Whereas if you put it down later in the round, they won't know where it's at until they drone in the actual round. Something just to keep in mind when playing mirror against you. Not available all the time, and that's not like a huge thing. A lot of the time, players tend to know where mirrors are going to be when playing against a mirror, but just something to keep in mind.
Changing mag.
Yeah, I'd break the barricade too. That's not a great barricade. Okay, good kill onto the blitz. All right. Yeah, I don't want to say I knew that was going to happen. I didn't hear anyone, but I understand what you're trying to do. I mean, I don't know if this was intentional, but obviously everyone on your team is anchored in sight. So I'm not sure if you wanted to roam or if you just walking around, saw the broke the barricade, walked into game, saw a blitz, and it's kind of how it played out. But I think honestly the biggest mistake you made there was just that when you killed the blitz, you should have just ran. You know what I mean? If they're playing a blitz, they're going to be playing a fast attack. They played a Maru last round, so they're going to be coming in quick. You should just be trying to get out. Kill the blitz, run away, run back to site. Again, my sound isn't super high on this, but I'm sure you could have heard the bull barricade breaking. You probably could have heard the people walking or running around through terrace. When you're roaming like that, you just got to kill the guy and run. Just run away most of the time. It's the only way you're going to get out. Otherwise, I think I probably wouldn't have roamed. Just sit in sight. You got the mirror set up. You know where you want to play your mirrors. She's got a great gun. She's also pretty slow. She's a 1-speed, so she doesn't move that quick. I'd have probably just stayed in sight. But either way, you killed the blitz, which is an important kill because blitz is pretty strong. So not a terrible round. Again, I'd probably say just maybe sit in sight. But again, you didn't. I don't think you made any large mistakes there. Okay, last round match point. Again, Mira made it through the whole ban phase, which is pretty surprising. I don't know if I've personally ever seen that, but here we are. So I'm assuming what's going to happen is you kind of are just kind of brainstorming. Yeah, you're just going to throw your mirrors down at the beginning of the round. Again, not terrible. If it's expected that there's going to be a Mira, but good attackers are going to say, hey, you know what, there's a Mira right there, this back stairs, let's pick an Ash, and they're going to Ash your Mira right away. You know what I mean? Not everyone's, every game's different. That might not always work, but I'd say for the most part, just put your mirror windows down closer to when the round is starting, when attackers can't change their ops to deal with it. All right. Yeah, to be honest, Mira's not that great on this site. I don't think there's many walls where she's actually strong. You're going to basically be putting them facing into one side to the other. Otherwise, they're really not that great. I understand wanting to take Mira because she's on the board and because she's pretty strong, but it may not always be the best choice. But I mean, it's not always terrible. I think Mira's a strong op regardless, but it doesn't seem like the attackers really know too much what they're doing. Plus, your team's kind of frying them anyways. Yeah. Whew. Yeah, it's 5v2 already. Shoot.
Holy moly, well done.
That's a big mirror right there. No, you don't even need to reinforce that wall, man. That was value.
Animals.
Okay. All right. Well, not really too much happening in this round. I mean, nothing really crazy to fix. I mean, at this point, I think I'd hop back in sight. You have a cap can roaming. I'd probably just sit in sight all happy. You know, the hatch was soft, and I think they've broken it now. Yeah, I'd probably just sit in sight. You're going to put your mirror on this? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, not a bad idea. Pocket mirror. Yeah, you just heard it drop into sight. There you go. Okay, yeah, good game. We'll go over notes here at the end and just talk a little bit about the game. Yeah, I'm gonna let the VOD replay in the background while I go over just some notes. I think in general, overall, and this goes for offense or attack and defense, I think just having a plan, you know what I mean? Whether that be a plan for the round, a plan for the first minute, or a plan for your execute. But I think just a plan for the round. You know what I mean? When you're playing Thermite, what's your plan? You want to open this wall, and then what? You know, obviously the first round that didn't really work. Second round, you opened the wall, but you didn't do anything about it. You know, at that point, just play someone else. You know, if you're going to open the wall and not do anything, I feel like there's really not much of a point in playing Thermite. You know, play someone else, right? I think the same would go for the Mira on defense. You know, if you're going to play Mira, Mira's strong. Don't get me wrong. She's a great operator. She's banned a lot for a reason. But if you're going to play her, you know, play her for a reason. You know, you got to know your setups, know your strategies, and that comes with time. Personally, what I would recommend, and especially a solo queue, I think it's where it's really different. But you need to figure out what you are comfortable doing and do that a lot, right? So, for example, on Outback, I like to play a lot of Solus. Solus is just, I think, a fun op to play on Outback. A lot of the destructible, or a lot of the floors and ceilings are destructible, so it's pretty easy to play up and down on the map. So I like to play a lot of Solus. I play her pretty much all the time. If not Solus, maybe like Tubarao or Aruni. Unless I have a specific setup I'm running, it's usually Solus, right? And that's because I'm so comfortable with it. I know my plan for the round. I know where to start. I know where to play. I know what I want to do, right? And it works out for me pretty well. I think you were kind of just filling operators here because no one else was playing them. And sometimes that can be good. You know, it's good to have a Thermite, but it's evident that none of your team was even going to, you know, push this side of the map with you. You're the only one spawning camping, right? So you could have maybe just chosen another operator here, like Thermite, you know, to get to disable the Thorns and Ellas or something like that, you know? But again, yeah, just picking an op and having a plan. And that just comes down to time, you know what I mean? Some ops are easier to play than others and easier to get value out of than others. But it's just going to come down to picking an operator and just playing them and figuring out if that's what you like to do or not. Otherwise, yeah, again, split or ghost pressure. You know, if you're going to be shooting these windows open on defense, shoot them open all the way, right? If you should open that bottom backstairs door, the dorms door, and the bathroom door here, like that's 3 different ways you could come through, and the defense isn't going to know about it until you're much closer. Whereas when you break the barricade, it's going to make noise, right? Otherwise, yeah, not a terrible game. Not a lot of action going on your end. Your teammates did kind of kill a lot of the people on the rounds you guys won, so it's not really much to watch within your own gameplay. But otherwise, you know, good match. Thank you for submitting the VOD.